In a world that worships material success, billionaire businessmen are placed on pedestals, praised, admired, and envied as symbols of intelligence, drive, and achievement. He has it all: the luxury, the power, the fame. From the outside, the billionaire businessman appears to be a living legend, commanding respect in every room he enters. His empire is vast, his name synonymous with success, and the world looks at him in awe as he stacks one triumph after another. His mind has become his greatest asset, overdeveloped, finely tuned, and relentlessly active. A machine constantly analyzing, calculating, and strategizing. It is efficient, it's powerful, and it's always moving. Yet beneath this enormous success lies a quiet reality, one of inner emptiness, suppressed emotion, and spiritual bankruptcy. This is the side of the billionaire no one talks about. A life that, on the surface, seems powerful but is slowly unraveling within. Actor and comedian Jim Carrey, who reached enormous fame and wealth himself, offered rare insight into this unseen world. A world he came to understand deeply after achieving everything he thought he wanted, only to still feel hollow. As Jim Carrey once said, "I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of, so they can see that it's not the answer." The billionaire businessman appears to have it all: power, status, attention, influence. But recognition and praise become the fuel for his self-esteem. Without it, he feels empty or irrelevant. His entire life has been structured around achievement. But when he arrives at the peak, there is no joy or fulfillment. Only the addiction to the next goal, the next investment, the next empire. He has no time for himself. His days are packed with meetings, decisions, deadlines, and relentless strategizing. There's no space for silence, reflection, or presence. He keeps pushing, keeps moving, keeps climbing. But no matter how high he goes, it's never enough. Once someone becomes wealthy, they may develop a fear of loss. The more they have, the more they feel they need to protect, so they keep accumulating as a form of security. Disconnected from his soul and emotions, the mind takes over. Logic, control, ambition, and strategy become overdeveloped. He begins to function like a machine, laser-focused, tireless, unemotional, and hyper-efficient. He is successful because he has channeled all his energy into external control and achievement. Every interaction, every relationship, every decision becomes a calculated move rather than a genuine experience. He doesn't pause to feel, which means he is not distracted by fear, self-doubt, guilt, conscience, or empathy. His mind is sharp. His strategies are flawless. But there's no room to feel, no space to connect with those he loves, no presence to savor the world around him. Time is spent in the grind, and in the grind something is lost: his soul. He is consumed by the endless pursuit of more, as time slips away while he chases success, never pausing to simply live. He has no time to sit and reflect, no time to reconnect with his own heart. His identity has become his work, his title, his assets, his achievements. He is no longer a person. His success has become his worth. In this relentless pursuit, he may lose touch with what truly brings him joy. But what's the use of all the money in the world if there's no time, presence, or peace to enjoy it? When the soul is suppressed and emotions are ignored, the body holds the tension. His nervous system is in constant overdrive, unable to rest. He may rely on addictions like work, money, power, or substances to numb the pain. Some eventually break down, burn out, or feel inexplicable depression or anxiety, even at the height of success. Many spend their health to gain wealth, only to later spend their wealth trying to regain their health. Some only realize what they've lost when it's too late. Steve Jobs, the visionary co-founder of Apple, once shared a powerful reflection at the end of his life. At the end of my life, lying in a hospital bed surrounded by machines designed by people like me, I realized that all the accolades, the wealth, and the success mean very little in the face of death. In my relentless pursuit of ambition, I built empires and shaped industries, but I overlooked life's true treasures: love, presence, and inner peace. You can hire someone to drive your car, run your business, or care for your home, but you cannot hire someone to carry your pain or face your mortality. The riches I chased could not buy health, nor could they calm a restless heart. Now, as I look back, I see that real wealth is found in the relationships we nurture, the kindness we give, and the simplicity we often overlook. The pursuit of more blinded me to the beauty of enough. Don't wait until the end to realize what truly matters. Stay connected to your heart. Live with purpose. Love deeply, because the most expensive bed in the world is a hospital bed, and no amount of money can buy back lost time. Jim Carrey also said, "Depression is your body saying, 'I don't want to be this character anymore.'" The billionaire often lives by performance, a version of himself shaped by expectations, survival, and ego. He may constantly feel as if he's only as good as his last achievement or the next thing he can acquire. If he loses any of it, his entire sense of self begins to collapse. The belief becomes, "My value is tied to my money and success." His wealth is more than a resource. It becomes his identity. Without it, he feels like nothing. He becomes the businessman, the mogul, the genius, but forgets who he truly is underneath. He has spent so many years building his empire that the man beneath it all has become a stranger to himself. When you're constantly busy being busy, your mind becomes loud, cluttered, and restless. In all that noise, your soul, gets buried beneath layers of tasks, distractions, and external identities. When you live in a hurry, you live in the shadows of your own life. You don't pause to notice your thoughts, your feelings, or your surroundings. You react habitually, driven by stress, fear, or reward, rather than respond with presence. Your deepest needs and longings remain hidden beneath the urgency of the next task. You appear alive on the outside but feel disconnected within. This disconnection leads to quiet suffering. When the body begins to ache, when sleep turns shallow, when moments of silence feel unbearable, it's not just stress. It's the soul protesting. But instead of listening, he doubles down on productivity. Instead of resting, he invests more. Instead of feeling, he analyzes. He avoids his shadows by staying busy. But shadows don't disappear when ignored. They grow. His world is full of action but absent of being. He is surrounded by people yet deeply alone because he lacks a true connection with himself. When the soul is neglected, no amount of company can fill the void. The soul is buried beneath noise and distraction. Unheard, unseen, unfelt. It comes alive in silence, in stillness, in presence. It thrives when the mind is quiet and you return to simply being. It flourishes when it feels seen, heard, and loved for who it is, not for what it does. Jim Carrey also said, "Your need for acceptance can make you invisible in this world." In his pursuit of approval, from society, shareholders, employees, family, the billionaire often abandons his true self. It's difficult to build meaningful, authentic relationships when your identity is tied to wealth, because the connection is based on what you can offer, not who you are. The world doesn't love him. It loves his wealth, his status, his mind. So he reinforces that image, hoping it will bring him belonging. But it never does. The real him, his vulnerable self, his emotional self, his essence, remains hidden. He is admired and respected only for the image he built. And that admiration can feel isolating when it's tied to your achievements, not your soul. He is a billionaire, but bankrupt in soul. He is everywhere, but not home within himself. He is visible to the world, but invisible to his own heart. No amount of external gain can resolve internal lack. Until a person feels truly content, grounded, and whole within, the desire for more won't stop, no matter how rich they become. Awakening often begins in silence. In quiet moments, away from distraction, deeper truths emerge. The voice of the soul begins to speak. Silence creates the space where awareness, presence, and inner knowing can arise. The ego is fragile because it's built on external things that change, fade, or disappear. It's a mask that needs constant maintenance. That's why the ego fears silence. When you stop running, the buried pain, often rooted in old insecurities, fears of inadequacy, or unhealed wounds, begins to surface. These emotional scars get buried beneath layers of success, responsibilities, and roles. But when someone finally slows down, when there's no meeting to attend, no screen to scroll, no one to impress, all of that buried pain rises. This is why solitude can feel threatening to someone who has used activity as a shield. When the shield drops, the raw truth of their emotional world appears. And it can be overwhelming, especially for someone who has built an identity on control, strength, and external validation. This is the spiritual paradox. The very pain we avoid by staying busy is the exact pain we must face to become whole. That's why authentic spiritual awakening often feels heavy, not because it's failure, but because it's truth. The real self breaks through years of masks, roles, and performances. This process can feel like grieving your entire past. At first, awakening brings chaos and confrontation. Old wounds resurface, regrets reappear, suppressed emotions demand attention. Awakening doesn't erase the buried self. It brings it to the surface, often in waves of pain, disillusionment, and emotional release. Slowing down is not just an option. It's essential for emotional and spiritual well-being. There is no other way to truly know yourself, feel deeply, or live with presence. Presence is what the billionaire has lost, and what he longs for most. Presence is being still enough to hear your own heart. It's giving yourself your full attention. It's being there for yourself without distraction, without noise, without performance. Presence is what remains when the mind quiets. It's being at home in your body, honest in your emotions, and connected to your essence. Beyond identity, beyond roles, beyond achievements. And presence only arises when a person has done the inner work of slowing down, feeling, and coming home to themselves. It's not a business strategy, it's the courage to be with yourself as you are, without a role and without a mask. And in that presence, healing begins. The dark side of the billionaire businessman is not in his wealth. It's in the cost of his disconnection, the constant striving, the inability to sit still, the avoidance of inner life. But this is not a condemnation. It's a call to slow down, to feel again, to remember what it means to be human. Because in the end, the real treasure isn't found in what you accumulate. It's in knowing who you are when everything else fades.